Hey guys, CaliAir here, and it's picking a daisy on eBay. This is the second video. Actually, I mean, in many ways, this could be the first YouTube video proper of picking a daisy on eBay with CaliAir. The first one is on the Facebook picking a daisy page. So if you want to check out the first episode of that, that's where it is. So let me see if we can get a bead on this, because that does not look like it's, oh, there we go. It's happening. It's happening. So this is the Model C, made somewhere between 1910 and 1914 by Daisy. It certainly does resemble some other models, does it not? But that's not, I'm going to come back to that. This is going to be another video. I have to get some lead shot for this. So when I show it to you, we can shoot it. It actually shoots quite nicely. But on these early guns, you don't want to use the steel, because they weren't designed to shoot steel BBs. They were designed to shoot the lead ones. Just a little FYI from your pal, CaliAir. So check this out, guys. I wanted to show this to you. And that is this double barrel training cork shotgun. Now, usually the double barrels, the little double barrels, you can get somewhere around the $50 mark, right? 50, 60 bucks for the smaller cork break barrel double barrels, both made in Plymouth and in Rogers. The Rogers little cork Rogers double barrels are actually nicer than the Plymouth ones. So go figure. But here I haven't seen this full-sized cork shotgun, and this one comes with the box and the corks, the original paperwork. It's in really good shape, and look at this, 225 bucks. And climbing, it still has about an hour, so this could easily go up to about 400 bucks. We'll see. Here, let me get the magic remote here. Now, I've been considering different ways of approaching this picking a daisy on eBay, because you could do it on your computer with a screen capture, but then you don't get to see my mug, do you? So I figured, let's try this for the first/second picking a daisy on eBay. Wow, okay, that's nice. I'm liking that. I'm not quite sure if the pixelation, it's not pixelated for you only. This is actually pixelated, but it may be because it's being blown up so big that it's not doing too well. Wow, let's see. So as we're looking at this, we may even see it go up in the bidding go up. Okay, let's see. It's a hammerless Red Ryder double barrel training shotgun. There's the Fred Harmon character on there. I guess this is considered the 410 gauge shotgun. Yeah. Interesting, this is actually, it's hard to see, I think it actually is on the other side. There's a little hole where you can put all these cork balls, so you can put the cork balls in the stock. Really interesting. And of course, made in Plymouth. This one, geez, I can't tell you the, what year. Certainly 40s or beyond, because of the plastic stock, right? We know that by the 40s and definitely the 50s, everything was They really kind of went heavy on the plastic. We know that it's not beyond 1952, right? We know it's not beyond 1952 because, or what, 54? Maybe something around there. We know that era, 52, 53, 54, somewhere around there. We know that it's not older than that because it's made in Plymouth. And the Rogers, they moved to Rogers by 54. So we know that it's a 1954 or earlier, somewhere between 1954 and I would say 50s. I'm now going somewhere in the 50s. For some reason, I'm thinking 1952, but I think this is probably one of the last things out of my. This is all my guesswork now, but I think this is one of the last things that Rogers made. So somewhere between 52, 54. Let's say, I don't know. I could be wrong. Totally be wrong on this. Can you see this? This you might not be able to see. Let's see if we can adjust it so you can. Yeah. Okay. That one's just not showing up very well. Let's try this. So they're showing the boxes had some damage. No biggie. But geez, at $200, you know, I wouldn't get it, and just because it's just not what I collect. I think it's really cool though. If I had all the cash in the world, I would probably pick one of these up. Or if, you know, I was just really big into let's just put it this way. If it was being sold for somewhere more like $100, I'd probably pick it up. But they're more than justified in selling it for what they're selling it for. It's coming with the box and everything. It looks like it's in pretty damn good condition. So 280, it's gone up. Still has a little over 45 minutes to go. Very neat. Very neat. So, want to try to look at some other stuff? Oh, I'm not going to be here the whole 46 minutes. I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to jabber on for that long. But definitely, let's see what we have here. This is a very interesting way of navigating. So, vintage date. Oh, geez, it's right there. Let's do it. So I just did a search for vintage Daisy gun. I was actually prompted as I went to vintage Daisy, and there is vintage Daisy gun, so I just followed the prompt. Pardon me. So there's the 50th anniversary, 1938. Boy, that looks like it comes stocked. So price is not too bad. I think this one is probably made vintage 50th anniversary. So I guess it was made 50 years after 1938, perhaps? Or are they using the 1940 mark? Don't know. Not gonna look into that. Mostly what I search for, although I always do look at the Rogers guns, you know. The guns made in Rogers. Yeah, these are all made in Rogers. I'll look at them, but really, and I'm often tempted to pick up some Rogers guns. I have some Rogers guns, and some of them I just have to have because you know they're really cool. Um, Namely the 188, or yeah, it's the 188, the Daisy pistol that Rogers made. I think that is truly their flagship, you know. And then the Daisy Heat-On Comptometer 102 Cubs. If you can pick those up, those are really cool. So, boy, it's a nice price for, again, this is most likely is made in Rogers, but 36 bucks or 54 bucks for a vintage Daisy. You know, you're paying the same price for the current Chinese Daisy, which, by the way, probably will shoot better. This will probably be louder. But still, if it's not that loud, it's still fairly backyard friendly. So you can pick these up and have a vintage Daisy for the price of, like, you know, a new Chinese made Daisy. So that's pretty cool. Vintage Daisy 177. These are made in Plymouth, and that's a really nice price for the whole target and pistol setup. This double barrel has been up for a while. That the price has even gone down on it. It has an engraved stock, and I think somebody custom engraved the stock. So they're having a hard time getting rid of that. I think it's because it's the Plymouth, Michigan one, and those actually, for some reason, don't seem to be as nicely made as the Rogers ones. So, but I have one of these, so that's why I know. And I actually had a Rogers, but I had to send it back because it wasn't working. I was very tempted to keep it, but I don't like to have too many items that actually don't work, because then, you know, they starts to pile up and your workload of repairing them becomes untenable. And I've seen this happen over and over, where you can tell the guys had got these guns cheap, and their aim was they're going to fix them, and then they wind up having to dump them and take, you know, in a lot of cases, take a loss. Although I don't know if they've had them long enough and they got them cheap enough, I'm sure they were able to still make good money on them. But they're worth so much more when they work, right? I mean, if you have a fairly good gun and it's in working order and it's a good shooter, boy, I think those are the most valuable. They're certainly the most valuable to me when somebody describes the item as it's a good shooter, it shoots good, and it's vintage. Man, how do you pass that up, right? And you can charge a premium under those circumstances. It doesn't have to be all shiny, right? It's vintage. It's not expected to be all shiny necessarily, right? And typically, you know, a lot of the shiny ones and old ones are a little fragile, like the Model C that I just showed you starting out. You know, I don't really like to shoot that too much, you know, so it winds up becoming more of a collectible, kind of a shelf item, and it's not why we get into collecting daisies, is it? So, but truth be told, eventually, as a collector, what we do is we get what we can, and then we use what we have to leverage the things that we actually want to get. So, and a lot of times you don't know what that is until you get it. You know, sometimes you get one and you're like, what? For instance, the 102 Cub Daisy Comptometer Rogers. I never would have considered that to be like a keeper. you know. But I was intrigued. I don't even remember what intrigued me about it that had me purchase it, other than maybe the price. But once I got it and shot, it's the quietest one, quietest BB gun that I have. Absolutely quiet. It's whisper quiet. It's you know, it hits point of aim quite nicely. Yeah, it's a painted barrel. It's not plastic, but it's a painted barrel. It's the whole Daisy Comptometer story was very interesting to me. So that's probably why I picked it up. So yeah, here's some great prices. This Target kit, a whole, this is what's incredible to me about collecting daisies. Here you have the 188. These were made in 30s, and here's a whole kit. The Target, the box it was made out of nice thick type of cardboard, and the gun itself shoots really weakly, or rather weak, and it's just a indoor tabletop kind of a pistol, air gun, and made in the 30s, for God's sakes. And look, 39 bucks, just incredible. I mean, it will probably go up from that, but look at that. It's just incredible that you can still get those things. And I predict that you're not going to be able to find these, let's say over the next 6 months to a year. I don't think you're going to find these sorts of things at this price. Just a prediction. We'll see. So there's more 1938s, Richard, Rogers. Fair condition vintage. Oh, look at this, $21.50 for a short throw. Now that's worth looking into. Let's check that out. $21.50 for a Plymouth-made gun. Now it's not looking pretty, but as you guys know, I don't care too much. Although they can't be too rusted. We gotta put our foot down somewhere. But again, it depends on kind of where you're at, as a collector. All right. Shootability is number one. This looks like it's a repair. So that really screws things up. The barrel looks really heavily rusted and pitted from rust. And this is all looking kind of original, and all that's looking pretty good. It looks like the top screw and the sight are in good condition. So, oh, does it have a shot tube? That's a big question. Although it should be known that a lot of the shot tubes are interchangeable all the way up until I think a certain year. I don't know, but don't quote me on this, but I think I've been able to interchange the barrels on the 25s all the way from the 1917 models to the recent. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's rather that or the recent ones are the only shot tubes that don't work in these, one or the other. But anyway, what I'm saying is it's not a deal breaker. At 21 bucks, no shot tube isn't really a deal breaker. As long as it shoots, the person says that it shoots with air, with a good amount of force, then yeah, picking up a shot tube is not a problem. Damn, yeah, it's a pretty grainy picture, but even with the grainy resolution, you can tell that it's really had some damage in the rust. Now, if it's if it's rust that's built on or rust that's embedded in, we kind of make the difference as to how salvageable it is. You could stop the rust and you can restore it to a certain degree. And I think the less you have to restore it to bring it back, the better. If you have to do, you know, like a full something or another to fully restore it, then I don't know. I don't know. And then I see guys then try to sell those guns for really high, and I think those are good if they've restored them to the point where they shoot really well. Then if it's a really good shooter, it's vintage but heavily restored, it might be, it's worth it. But again, probably not at the price that most people have to charge for it, right? You know, all the work that you put into doing this. So, all right, it's looking good. So this is a short throw, so we know that this is sort of pre-19, geez, I'm forgetting my dates now, pre-38. Oh, yes, definitely pre-38, 36 maybe, pre-36, the short throws before they went to the long throw. Yeah, you know, that this might be hard to replace. Strangely enough, the hardest thing, you know, if you could get away with clearing up the rust on this, stopping it, clearing up the rust. This is the non-etched, right? We know from, I think it was in 1936, 1938, they started the etching, the gold etching on the receiver, top and bottom. And they went to just when they started painting the barrels, they started changing the etching as well. So anyway, yeah, this would be my biggest concern or my biggest issue with getting that. It would be hard to find if you know, if you don't care about that and it functions well, then, you know, again, if this is a good shooter, $20, and this is, my guess is probably 1917. Yeah, it's definitely not a first variant. Right, the first variant from 1914 has the adjustable front sight. So. Well, yeah, look at that. That's a nice. Hey, if you at $20, if you're a collector, another good reason to buy something like this. Let's see if we can get the. Yeah, I apologize for the challenge being able to see the screen. Obviously, this is not going to be the best route to go either. Sorry about that, guys. But at least you get to see my beautiful mug, right? So, and I'll describe what I'm seeing here. Yeah, it looks pretty rusted out and looks like pretty scratched up and rusted out. But if it were a good shooter, it would be worth it. Or it would also be worth it, hey, for $20, you could just buy these for the screws and for parts. And they will, those screws and parts will probably work on all of the early Model 25s, all the way up to, you know what, 1937, 38. Yeah, you know, 1940s, before they started putting the plastic on there, right? Once they started putting the plastic on, then it's kind of hard to make these match. The top screw, the early had, I believe, the small top screw for a lot of the Daisy guns, and then the this is the top screw that goes from the receiver into the stock. The early guns had, I believe, the smaller screw, and then the bigger screw came in later. If you ever get one of these with the screw and it's a Phillips, you know that it's not original because Phillips heads weren't invented, right? Yet. Right, they're showing the I This is even a blurry picture, so you're seeing a whited out. You're not seeing anything. Sorry, guys. I'll try to rush through this, get to stuff that you can see. Oh man, this is a really rough fix. So they couldn't pinch the barrel band closed in order for it to function. So they put this little piece of metal. So, eesh, man. Yeah, now it's really looking like rather it's a good shooter, and you're just buying it, as a good shooter. You really wouldn't want to buy this as a collectible. And even for parts, well, if you need the wood's still good on this, and the screws are probably still good. Certainly worth $20 for that. So, all right. Let's see. I think we're done there. Yeah, well, I almost want to go back to the double barrel and see what's going on. Yeah. Here we go. This is not as bad as I thought it would be. Not as bad as I thought it would be. Can we go back this way? Okay, yeah, there we go. All right, well, $280. We're looking at the double barrel now. Oh, I could also adjust it this way. That's a good thing. All right. 280. It's still at 26 bidders for this toy double barrel cork gun. The BB gun versions of this is with the plastic stocks too. The BB gun version of this with the plastic stocks can go up to like $500 easily. It's ridiculous. I wouldn't, the Rogers. This one actually, we already had discerned that this one was made in Plymouth. But it really makes me think, because of the plastic stock and plastic forearm, it really makes me think it was pretty much 1954, right before they moved everything over to Arkansas. So, well, that's pretty exciting. All right, well, we'll just go, we'll visit that later. Go back to whence we came. All right, I think. Wow, look at that. The Daisy Model 880. Yeah, this Daisy Model 880 for $39. Now, this is a Rogers gun, and it's not even, if you're my age, you're insulted that this is being called a vintage gun because it's pretty much from like the 80s. But the interesting thing, I've talked about this before, the interesting thing about the 880 is it is the departure from the single stroke air gun to the multi-pump. And it was quite a powerful shooter, pretty accurate. I'm not quite sure if it has a rifle barrel. Doesn't matter with the BB anyway. But you can use pellets in this or the BBs. And this is the first Daisy that was wrongfully, in my opinion, held responsible for someone actually getting shot in the eye, and the poor kid passed away due to the injuries because they landed the brain. So that's how powerful this was. None of the Daisies prior to this were powerful enough to do that sort of damage. Maybe poke you in the eye, but other than that, pretty dang safe. So I picked up an 880 just because of that little historical fact. Now I wanted what Daisy was made to do was to put a warning on the receiver. So what I was interested in was collecting the first variant that didn't have the warning on the receiver. Unfortunately, it seems as if these weren't all that reliable. The one that I acquired stopped working after about 20 shots and leaked oil all over the place. So I'm hoping it's an easy fix. I think I've been told it's an easy fix. So when I have time, I'll have to do that. I'll be fixing that and the first variant Red Ryder that I got my hands on. Those two, which those, see now these are guns that I'm probably not going to give those up, right? The story of the 880 and having a first variant, you know, only if there was one that was a great shooter, new in the box, maybe would I give up the 880 that I have. But the dang thing needs fixing, so. And then the Red Ryder, same thing. You know, the first variant Red Ryder, you can't get rid of that, right? That's a first variant, Red Ryder. I mean, if you're collecting daisies, you can get rid of all of your Red Ryders, but not your first variant. And strangely enough, they're not really all that expensive. In the Blue Book values aren't all that expensive. The Blue Book value, the guns that are really high in the Blue Book values are the ones that are hard to get, of course, right? The wire gun, right? I was going for like 10 grand or so. There's a Model 25 1914 right now going for $1,500. It's a chrome, or rather nickel plated. It looks quite nice. I'm not quite sure it's original. See, it's the thing. And the $1,500 for a for really a refurbished gun, you know, it's too much. 300 maybe, I don't know, right? But 1,500 for a refurbished, you know, they probably re-nickeled it, or maybe they nickeled it. It wasn't originally nickeled. You know, there's no history on the gun. I communicated with the seller, and yeah, there's not any real history on the gun. So it's he's having a hard time getting rid of it too. It's unfortunate because it's a good-looking gun, but I don't know. It's a shame. What's unfortunate is that he doesn't have the history on it, so even he himself doesn't know, you know, if it's really worth $1,500 or not. Yeah. And it very well could be. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying that there's no way of verifying the history and to what extent it was refurbished, right? Yeah, if this is a first variant being sold for $39 or somewhere in that area, geez, yeah, you want to pick that up. You're not going to see many at that price if they're functioning. You'll find a lot of them not functioning. So there's again, if you want to get into it, you can pick up these and then just look online how to repair them. They're really quite simple to repair and made so they can be repaired. I'm not going to speak for the 880. I haven't tried to repair it yet. I have repaired the earlier guns, and they're all very simple. That's one of the things I love about them. They're very easy to maintain and repair. So, but from what I hear, the 880 Powerline series is also. So let's keep going here, because there is a very interesting 5533 sold for $50. Look at that. $50 for a 5533. These were was it 39 by 1938 or so. They discontinued the King line. You know, if you know the King line, the King was, can't remember the guy's first name. It slips me right now. Markham, the Markham King, right? Daisy bought Markham out long time, like in the 20s, I think, maybe even earlier. It bought Markham out. So they essentially had his whole stock and were selling. They were selling Markhams to, I guess, what could be called their secondary market, like to Sears and Roebuck or something like that, right? So, and then they stopped putting out the Markham line, the Markham King, what eventually came the King line made by Daisy. They stopped putting those guns out by late 30s, definitely about 40s, right? So the 5533 is interesting because it was the beginning of the end of the Markham line. You have the 55, which, if I'm not mistaken, the Daisy 155 is pretty much the 55, if I'm not mistaken. Right? We'll double check that on another episode. But the 5533, the 33 stands for the first year it was produced, so the 33 is 1933, and then 55, 33, 34, 30, 36, I believe. There's a 55, 36, 55, 38, something. I might have these numbers wrong, but what I'm trying to get at here is that this line, there are the 55, 33, 30, maybe it was 32, 33, and 36, 30, somewhere around those numbers. And then that was it. So the 55 line, both just the plain King 55 and the King 55 32 or 33 and the 36 or 38, that was it. No more. And then they essentially brought in the 155. So I think they, maybe they had a lot of these already stamped out, but they didn't have them etched and branded. So I don't know. These are all questions we got to ask Daisy, the company. So where are we here? It's a nice 102. Yeah. Woodstock plastic forearm. Doesn't have any forearm. It's really something how people misdescribe. Wow, get out of here. See, yeah, this is interesting. This is a whole bunch of described items all in a row here. Let's go back. So yeah, let's make it really clear. This may be a 102. It's probably might even be a Daisy Heat on 102. Again, if you're interested in these, and if it's a good shooter, this would be something to look into. But you'd have to tell the guy there is no plastic forearm on there, so you'd have to inquire to find out what the heck that's all about. Yeah, these are made in Rogers, but at $24 and you want a good shooter and it's still vintage. These are 1950s, 1960s around, right? We know it's we know it's not in the 80s because it would have they made the 102s all the way out into the 80s, but it would have a safety on it, I believe. So all right. Well, I'm gonna cut it short, not that short. But the main thing I wanted to show you was the. Let's get back to it, and we'll see. Sort of like a drama, right? Yes, look at that. So it hasn't gone up any, $280. But how incredible, huh? A toy cork gun, probably made in the 50s, going for $280. Pretty wild. All right, thanks for coming by, and I'll see you next time.